Can the Pope be wrong? This is one of the most common questions and points of contention surrounding the Catholic Church. The doctrine of papal infallibility is a source of constant confusion, often caricatured by critics and misunderstood even by many of the faithful. It is frequently presented as a belief that the Pope is a kind of divine oracle who is perfect, sinless, and correct about everything he says. But the reality of this doctrine is far more specific, limited, and theologically precise. Understanding what papal infallibility truly is and what it is not is essential to grasping the unique gift that Christ gave to his church. First, let's be clear about what papal infallibility is not. It is not a declaration that the Pope is impeccable or without sin. Popes are human beings. They go to confession like everyone else, and the history of the Church includes popes who were great sinners. The infallibility of the Pope does not prevent him from having personal flaws, moral failings, or committing sins. Sin is a matter of morality, while infallibility is a matter of doctrine. They are two separate categories. Furthermore, papal infallibility does not mean that the Pope is correct in everything he says or writes. He is not an expert on science, history, or economics. His personal opinions on politics, sports, or the weather carry no more weight than anyone else's. When the Pope writes a letter, gives an interview, or delivers a homily, he is speaking as a teacher and a pastor, but these acts are not typically considered infallible. They are part of his ordinary teaching authority, which Catholics are called to respect, but they are not protected by the specific charism of infallibility. So, what is papal infallibility? The doctrine, which was formally defined at the First Vatican Council in 1870, is a belief that the Pope is protected by the Holy Spirit from teaching error, but only when he speaks on a matter of faith or morals under very specific and strictly defined conditions. These conditions are threefold. First, the Pope must be speaking ex cathedra, which is Latin for from the chair. This means he must be speaking in his official capacity as the successor of St. Peter, the supreme pastor and teacher of all Christians. He is not giving a private opinion, but is acting as the shepherd of the universal church. Second, he must be defining a doctrine. He is not merely explaining, commenting, or exhorting. He is using his apostolic authority to make a final, definitive judgment on a point of belief. He is settling a matter for the entire church, once and for all. Third, the doctrine he is defining must concern a matter of faith or morals. This is the essential scope of infallibility. It applies only to the content of divine revelation, what we must believe, faith, and how we must live, morals, in order to be saved. The charism of infallibility does not extend to any other subject. When these three conditions are met, the Church believes that the Pope's teaching is preserved from error by a special assistance of the Holy Spirit. This is not a new revelation. The Pope cannot invent new doctrines. Infallibility is a gift that protects the deposit of faith, the body of truth given by Christ to the apostles. The Pope is the guardian of this deposit, not its author. The purpose of this gift is to ensure that the Church, throughout history, will never stray from the essential truths of the gospel. It is a guarantee of doctrinal certainty and unity. It is Christ's way of fulfilling his promise that the gates of hell will not prevail against his church. How often has this power been used? In the history of the Church, the Pope has only spoken ex cathedra a handful of times. The most recent and clearest examples were in 1854, when Pope Pius X defined the dogma of the Immaculate Conception of Mary, and in 1950, when Pope Pius XII defined the dogma of the Assumption of Mary into heaven. In both cases, the popes were not inventing new beliefs, but were definitively confirming doctrines that had been held and believed by the Church for centuries. The logic behind the doctrine is rooted in the promises Christ made to Peter. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says to Peter, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." And in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus says to Peter, "I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail, and when you have turned back, you must strengthen your brothers." The Church understands these passages to mean that Christ gave Peter a special role in preserving the faith of the Church, a role that is passed down to his successors. Papal infallibility is not a doctrine about the personal qualities of one man. It is a doctrine about the divine protection of the Church. It is a gift that serves the entire body of believers, providing a sure norm for teaching the faith, as the Catechism says. It is a principle of unity and clarity in a world of confusion. It does not mean the Pope is always right, but it does mean that when he speaks with the full authority of his office on a definitive matter of faith or morals, the Holy Spirit ensures that the Church will not be led into error. It is a profound expression of Christ's ongoing love and guidance for the flock he established on earth.